Hi, I'm Ruth Ann Thompson with the Red Carpet Report, and we're here today in Burbank talking with the team behind the revival of the animated phenomenon, Samurai Jack. Yes, how's it feel now that you guys finished? We've concluded Samurai Jack, right, with this 5th season. How are you feeling?
Feel good. I think it's, this has been something that the fans and ourselves have been wanting for a long time. Initially we were going to try to do it in a movie, but things, Hollywood is a damn place. But this is actually the best scenario that we could ever have done.
Yeah, it's final season. And to go back and talk about the original a little bit of the samurai that goes back in time to fight insurmountable evil. So how did you all come together? I've heard you speak about how it was very ordinary. You auditioned, and got the role. But how about you guys? Because you guys have been a team on a lot of different projects together. So how did that collaboration start?
I don't think we ever stopped working together. A little bit on and off, but I left for a while. No, we did Clone Wars.
Yeah, but Jack was the first.
Yeah, Jack was the first time we worked together.
We, I finished working on Powerpuff Girls, and then I started developing Samurai Jack, and everybody that I used to work from Dexter through Powerpuff was still working, so I had to build a whole new crew pretty much. And we started, developing this art style just loosely, and then I'm like, I need somebody to really have this unique vision, because I wanted to do this cartoony but still a dramatic thing that we haven't done before. And then we had a friend, Bill Ray, who kind of recommended Scott, and so I called Scott out of the blue, and he came over with this portfolio, and it was the most amazing thing I've ever seen, because it had all this Ren and Stimpy cartoony stuff, but then this feature, very high drama, just beautiful, and it was the combination that's what I was looking for, and it was Scott.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was good timing, because I was dying to get away from features. Because I love TV. It's an insane schedule, but there's more freedom, and you get to take more risks, especially artistically. So it was really a good timing to go try something new with Genndy.
Yeah, and it's, in animation, you never leave features to go to TV.
That's true, yeah. It's usually the opposite.
Yeah, everybody's trying to get the step up, but Scott took a step back for us, so it was good.
This is this was all before we had kids, too, so you could kind of do a sort of crazy move like
more
that.
risks, yeah.
You're taking a demotion, just voluntarily.
And Phil was amazing, because we auditioned probably 50 people or maybe more for Jack, and I was hearing a voice in my head, but then you never you can't do it. You just got to hear it and do it. And the thing about auditions is, especially for auditions, I don't look at the actors, because I don't want to prejudge.
Of course,
oh, this guy is too old, too young, he doesn't look the part. And so Phil walked in, and I didn't see him, and I closed my eyes, and all of a sudden he starts talking, and it was like, boom, there it is. And he was very quiet and just kind of looking at everything. I remember you leaving, because you were checking out all the art and the walls and stuff, and it was very unassuming. And then Phil just you always, for voice actors, I always look for people who understand. It's not just a job. They show up, they read the script, especially with humor, you got to understand the joke that you're delivering.
Yeah.
And a lot of actors don't do it, but Phil does. And so he, it's almost no direction. He kind of knows what it is. He reads the boards. And so it's all very easy, the way it should be, just with Scott and some other people that we work with. At this stage, you're just hiring people who are better than you to do what what I see in my head.
Yeah, what you already had going on in your head. And then for you, so for his voice, for Samurai Jack's voice, what kind of inspirations did you have for him? Or was it just seeing the artwork and then it just kind of came forth?
Yeah, I remember talking with Genndy. I think I started out with something very calm, a little more heavily accented. Oh, actually, you know what? It wasn't as calm at first. I think I saw the action, and so I had him a little more like this. It's like, right, less. And Genndy, basically, because this is about a vision, visually, tonally, I'm just focused in on, okay, the voice is only a very small part of what's going on here. Where does my part fit? It's like you're playing in an orchestra.
Yeah.
It's like I'm, on the, the timpani. It's like, when do I hit it? Right now. So he said, pull it back. I think we wound up with something that I described as sort of a young Asian Clint Eastwood,
Right.
you know?
Man,
Yeah.
a few words. Yes.
Yeah, you wanted that. I mean, that Clint Eastwood is the, the go-to person who doesn't talk a lot, but when he does, you really feel it.
Yeah.
And that was the thing with Jack, because we knew we're not going to have a lot of dialogue, but at the same time, when he does talk, you want it to be great and underplayed. And underplayed is something that's, not done a lot.
Especially in cartoon.
In cartoons,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, especially at the
Yeah.
time. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
That first episode had, was it 9 or 10 minutes without dialogue?
About 10
Yeah.
minutes, yeah.
Yeah, the beginning, yeah.
Which you could not find in American animation.
Well, also the lead, you don't talk until like 15 minutes in.
Yeah.
Like it's like literally just a very little end bit that you finally get like 3 sentences out of you.
Right.
For sure. And so for more information, like what's so iconic about, I mean, there's so many different pieces of Samurai Jack that is, but the artwork is definitely one of the first things that I noticed as a fan. So what were some of your inspirations for this?
Well, it's interesting because we all, again, you mentioned we all like to do very stylized stuff, especially for TV, very flat stuff based on children's book illustrations, or just cartoons like Hanna-Barbera cartoons. But this, like, we wanted to incorporate that, but this needed mood and atmosphere and drama. And so trying to combine that with flatness and stylization, that was really the trick on this, and a really fun challenge. So I think we...
Yeah, I think you nailed it.
And I think inspiration, we always take from a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what was nice about Jack is it really took its own shape. Like, you can't say, oh, it's exactly like that.
Yeah.
And that's what was great about it. And then the more we did it, the more it grew into what it
Because we're
is.
trying to combine different
Yeah.
ideas, and strangely almost opposing ideas,
Mm-hmm.
trying to combine stylization, flatness with realism and lighting and depth. So it becomes a hard thing to combine.
Yeah, very hard lines with very smooth animation. Yeah.
Now, the not having an outline thing, was that?
Yeah, that was, I think, after doing, Dexter and Powerpuff, which is, huge, thick black outlines.
Yeah.
I was done, especially in the dialogue, too. It was like I was done with all the talking. And so I decided, because of digital, because by hand, it's impossible to do it. But because it was digital color was really coming into, you could be done now, I said, well, why don't we take all the outlines off? And that way it'll really stand out from everything that I've done before. Because that's the thing, I mean, for me, every project that I do, I want it to be different from the one before.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And so I'm like, this will be stand out. We'll have no dialogue, no black outlines. And there's a lot of, and it's not like I invented that. That's been done in the 50s many, many times, but on the smaller scale, because it is very difficult to do. But because of digital color, they can just fill the line work rather than somebody hand inking it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how it came together.
I remember being surprised that you were going to try that, because I think you're going to kill
Right.
overseas, because isn't that too much work?
Right.
I thought it was, but they were able to do it.
Yeah, and look, it's this show is not easy, and so, but that's what it is. Like, if it's easy, why do it? You want it to be a challenge, and you want it to be rewarding.
Yeah, for sure. It certainly was rewarding for us fans. Yeah. So did you have any idea, or what point did you realize that this was going to be as huge of a cult classic as it's become?
I didn't until, I did a lot of press around the world for some of the projects that I worked on, and people kept, the first question always was, when is Samurai Jack? Are you going to finish it? Are there going to be more
what's the
episodes?
conclusion? Yeah.
And we're talking 5 years after the show, 10 years after the show, and it would not stop. And eventually, how many animated shows come out and they just kind of die, right? And this one was kept, and every time I would run into Phil, because our kids went to the same school, he would say Jack, and everybody's bothering him.
They keep asking me, it's way above my pay grade. I go, no, I don't know.
And then finally, I finished the, a few years ago, I finished the second Hotel Transylvania movie, and the movie fell apart at Sony because we were talking, doing a Samurai Jack movie there too, and I had no projects. And then I just decided, you know what, maybe this is the pinnacle point, right? That maybe this is the chance to do it. And then I sent an email to my boss, my old boss, Mike Lazo, and he was like, yeah, let's do it. And literally it happened in 2 weeks. And then the whole deal, because that's the way it used to be.
Yeah.
I sold Samurai Jack to him over dinner. I said, look, I want to do this thing, action, he kills robots, not a lot of dialogue, really stylized. He's like, yeah, that's great, let's do it. it was that easy because when you have somebody that trusts you,
Yeah.
that we have a relationship and experience together, and then once they made that announcement, like it was all over, and then I realized, wow, maybe it's even more so than I thought,
Yeah.
and that was kind of the realization that there's the fan base from kids to adults to now that have kids has grown.
Yeah, for sure. I don't even have kids, and I still I'm super
Right.
excited.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's ever since we were first doing the original episodes, this has been a show that I could recommend to anyone, no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
If it's like, oh, I love cartoons, like, you'll love this. It's like, yeah, I don't really like cartoons. Doesn't
You'll still
matter.
love this.
Yeah. You know, because people respond to the music, people respond
Mm-hmm.
to, you know, the painted backgrounds, the colors.
Yeah.
You know, there's something literally for everyone, you know.
Yeah, we have like a rule: no green grass, no blue sky. You know, just it's always got to be special. Always got to have a point of
Yeah.
view on it.
It's incredible. So, how did you guys feel after the end of the 4th season? Like, were you like, okay, this is perfect because good and evil are always going to be battling each other. We don't need to have a conclusion, or were you just as frustrated as us fans were to have a conclusion?
Well, you went to work.
It was, yeah. I mean, it was, you know, it was like doing 4 seasons of a TV show is tough. You know, first season, you're all excited. It's new. It's great. Second season, yeah, we're warming up. Third season, oh my God, what do we do now? We're all burnt out. And then 4th season is, oh my God, we only have 5 episodes left. You know, and so that's this roller coaster ride that you're trying to survive and stay fresh. And by the end, coming close to the 4th season, we're like, are we going to finish it? And I didn't know, the network didn't know, they were going through a lot of transitions also. And so I decided, you know, I don't want to rush and finish the whole story. And so we just left it like there is no conclusion, and it was just like another episode. You know, the fifth episode 52 was completely uneventful.
Yeah.
You know, and so it just kind of stopped.
We didn't even have time to think about it because we went right into Clone Wars.
Right.
Oh,
So
wow.
it was they even overlapped, I think.
Yeah.
So
wow.
there was no time to even think about
To mourn.
Yeah.
to even regret or we're not doing that anymore. It's just right to the next thing immediately, and it's a very intense show.
Yeah, and then we went from something very difficult to even something more
More
difficult.
difficult, yeah.
Right.
With more
even greater
pressure.
expectations.
Oh,
More
so much
expectations,
pressure,
and,
yeah.
And literally 2 weeks to develop everything before we had to pitch it and stuff. So
Yeah.
But because we were all such Star Wars fans, it kind of rejuvenated us all because we were pretty tired
Yeah.
at 4 seasons of Samurai, so much work, and that was like Star Wars. We get to do Clone Wars, and
Right.
and it was like
Oh, man.
now we're all of a sudden
That was really good.
reborn.
Reborn, ready to do this. Yeah, I love the last episode of season 4 because it's very lone wolf and cub. Like I felt like it was like the audience was the baby. Now you are the samurais to go fight the evil on your own.
Right.
So now on to the 5th and final season, 12 years later, and it looks like, I mean, from the trailer, it looks like he hasn't lived in a vacuum either. So he's also been around the whole time.
Yeah, and what we're doing in the new series is it's for Jack. It's 50 years later.
Oh
You know,
wow!
and what we reveal is he hasn't aged. And basically it's like a side effect of the time travel. And what makes it amazing is that he's stuck in this purgatory for him, you know, in this hell where Aku's destroyed any way home. And now what does he do? He just wanders the lands. He can't kill Aku because Aku's just avoiding him, you know, and so he's literally stuck in hell. And what happens is you start to kind of lose your way. You know, and so because it's a darker story, we're also all advanced as filmmakers through the years. And so we wanted the story, and because we get to do 10 episodes as literally one movie, we really could now dig deep in. Because in the first 52, we weren't allowed to do episodic storytelling. That was the crazy part of the whole
wow.
thing. Like, you've got this one arc, one journey, you know, this guy has to get home, and we can't do a build. Because back in the day, this is before, you know, the Netflixes, all that stuff.
Yeah, you had to just have everything separate.
Yeah, because the whole thing was we want to air it at any point, at any time, out of order. You know, like a regular, like a SpongeBob or whatever. You know, like if there's no continuity, and it was hard, but whatever. That's what you got to do. But now it's all about episodic filmmaking, and now we're like, yeah, we're gonna do one story, one big movie, and it makes everything like the episodes go by in a blink, even though they're the same time. But because the stories are more of a larger piece, it feels like you're watching 4 sequences of a bigger thing. You know, and we still have a beginning, middle, and end to each episode, but it makes the storytelling more fantastic, and the show is intense.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm just so excited. So now that we're 12 years later and we have more technology when it comes to artwork, is there stuff that you can do or we're able to do with this season that you wanted to do in the originals?
So, well, that's an interesting question because I really wanted to look like the original show.
Yeah, for sure.
Because that's one of the things I'm most proud of artistically is the original seasons of Samurai Jack. So I didn't want it to look too different, but it is done differently now. It's not hand painted; it's painted in the computer, which is kind of sad. But it's painting it by hand would be just too hard these
Yeah.
days. And with overseas, it's changed to digital. So, but there are things that are a lot easier to do in computer, with like lighting, and it's just you have to be careful of it because it's very easy to overdo it and make it not look like the original show, and make it look like every other digital show. So there's a lot of thought to go, oh yes, I'd love to add this more drama and more depth and lighting, intensity, but still look like the original show, still feel like it. So it
Yeah.
feels like the original show, but just a little more, more
HD.
to it, a little more badassness.
Yeah.
And it's hard. It's like like you're saying, it's 12 years later.
Yeah.
And you can't exactly draw the same way you did
Yeah.
12 years ago. I mean, hopefully you're better. and so we kind of started drawing it, and also it's for the first time, even more so than Star Wars, that there was a fan base. And everybody has a perception of what the show was, especially when they watched it during kids.
Right.
And now you have to meet their expectations of what the way they perceived it as they watched it.
Nerds are so hard to please.
And I had that experience actually years ago when I started at Hanna-Barbera, because I was a big animation fan, of course. And I loved Dynamite and Hong Kong Phooey and all these really silly shows in the 70s. And then when I started at Hanna-Barbera, I was like, oh my God, I gotta see some episodes. And I found 3/4-inch tape, and I watched it, and they were horrible. Because as a kid, you see it completely differently.
All that nostalgia.
Yeah,
And
it started to ruin my childhood. Right, and I stopped watching him. And so now we're heading into that same situation where everybody's got this preconception of what the show is, and we'll never meet it. We'll never.
Yeah.
And so we decided we don't have to duplicate the show exactly. We're just going to naturally have it evolve to the way we are now, And bigger than anything, the story is darker. The tone is a little different. We're more in Jack's headspace, and so we wanted the art and the mood and the atmosphere to reflect all that.
Yeah, I mean, just from the trailer, you feel that weight of it, like the 50 years, and then you hear the line, it's like, oh. So for you, is the challenge of doing his voice, he's not aged, but he's been in this world so long. Like, did you feel like you had to, in some ways, like emotionally age him for his voice?
Very much so. Well, also he's been affected by this time difference. Not aged necessarily, but he's different, And it was, again, that balance between making it the same person, the same samurai, the same Jack that we know and love, but at this point in time, And the great thing is the story was there. And like you were saying, Gendy, we're telling the same character in the same world, but a different story and in a different way. So that makes the transition a little easier. It's like, I think I probably have more dialogue in these 10 episodes than in the entire, twice as much as the first 52.
All right, so we have that to look forward to.
But in terms of just the way it's being told.
You have more acting, actually. Yeah. There's much more, without giving a big part of it away, but we found a way to get inside Jack's head in a really interesting way, I think. And it's provided Phil with a lot more, I think, meat to really dive into. And we really get to see more aspects of Jack.
Yeah.
That's I think what's really exciting. And one of the criticisms that I would get from people from the first run is like, well, he needs a sidekick. Just because it's the
standard.
It's the standard, and it's very hard to have one lone hero wandering. And I was like, no, doesn't feel right. And I would get criticism like, oh, I think your show would have been more successful if he had.
Oh yeah, because it certainly didn't work out.
A talking dog.
Yeah, right.
Right. And so, but in some weird way, in this one, we kind of did it, but in our own way, and the story guided it. And I think
That's, I mean, to me, that's what's best about this. Because people keep asking, it's like, oh, it's on Adult Swim. Is it like, bloodier and dirtier? It's like, well, it's not a more adult, but it is more mature. In terms of, where we're coming from, as artists as opposed to where we were 12 years ago, and where he is, it's more in his head, it's more personal, and I remember in the first series, the big thing was, pull it back. It doesn't affect him as much. It's like, but he's jumping, and there's fire. It's
like, nah, but he's cool. He's cool.
Yeah.
He's been training for this. He's good.
Right.
Well, thank you guys so much. Is there anything else that you'd like to tell the fans about this next season coming out?
I think just we're excited. We worked really hard on it. It kind of broke us, as any production almost pretty much does. But I think we're just really stoked and excited that this is finally, it's around the corner coming out.
Yeah.
And I think we're just proud of it. It's rarely you could say that stuff that you work on. But for me, I'm proud of what everybody's done, and
Yeah.
It's like a surreal reunion for me.
Yeah.
I can't get over the excitement lately with the trailer coming out.
Right.
And it's just
Well, it's like going to your high school reunion, and everybody looks really good. That's what it is.
That's a good thing. Could you, Phil, do us a favor and say hello to our fans as Jack?
Hello, everyone. We need your help to defeat the evil that is Aku.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much again. Hi, everyone. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up, subscribe, and comment below. What do you think is going to happen in this final season of Samurai Jack? Don't forget to catch the last and final season of Samurai Jack only on Adult Swim on March 11th, 11 p.m.